Good evening, everybody. We want to welcome you and thank you for coming tonight. You know, it's a very busy time of year. It's not so easy always to get free, especially around dinner time. So we thank you all for being here to hear what we feel is really some critical and crucial information. It's a scary world out there right now, and social media and everything that's going on. And as I said in my communications, a lot of the anxiety the kids feel both in and out of school has its roots right in social media and some of the stuff that's going on there. So thank you again to the Hampden County District Attorney's Office for being here tonight to share some information around this topic so that you guys can be forewarned, forearmed, and help navigate this kind of crazy world that our kids are living in now and keep them safe. So thank you for coming and enjoy the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you guys for coming, and thank you Mr. Pearson, Mr. Cleve, Superintendent Gordon Smith for having us. We are here to talk a little bit about social media, but I will introduce myself and kind of tell you a little bit about who we are, why we're here, and the kind of work that we do. So my name is Gina Anselmo, and I work at the Hampden District Attorney's Office. I specifically work in the Community Safety and Outreach Unit. Tony Simmons is here, he's the director of the unit. We are really the hub for all of the DA's prevention and education programs. So the District Attorney's Office, you know, in a nutshell, is the top law enforcement agency in Hampden County. So primary role is prosecution of all crimes in Hampden County and protecting victims and witnesses of those crimes. So Hampden County is a fairly large area. It's 23 towns and cities. So of course, East Longmeadow is a part of that. Springfield, West Springfield, Longmeadow, Palmer, Chicopee, and so on and so forth. So that's really the area that we focus on. Like I said, we do not do prosecution. We are not lawyers. We are all about prevention and education. So what that means to us, a lot of our time is spent in schools doing presentations on a lot of different topics. So healthy relationships, distracted driving, substance use, social media, of course, and a handful of others. So we do internet safety presentations all the way from grade 2 to grade 12, and that looks different, of course, at each grade level. And I'll talk a little bit about the differences at each grade level. Aside from our presentations, we also offer a lot of opportunities for youth. That includes our Youth Advisory Board program. It includes a program called Future Lawyers of Springfield. It includes a program called Adopt a Class that we do each year with 8th grade students. It includes providing court tours for students to showcase job opportunities and a lot of other things. I want to talk a little bit about the Youth Advisory Board program because they are really the people who kind of created that material that's in your hand right now. So our Youth Advisory Board is made up of each year right around 55 to 60 high school students from across Hampden County. So we have like 3 to 4 students from a lot of different schools. I brought 2 East Longmeadow High Youth Advisory Board students to help me present tonight, and I'll let them introduce themselves in a minute. Sorry, before I lose my train of thought. And the role of the Youth Advisory Board is to work on projects on various issues that they're passionate about. So they meet with us every other Wednesday, and we ask them what are issues that you see in your schools, what are issues that you see in the community. How do you want to address those issues? Let's work on a project. How do you want to address it? And if you could imagine, we come up with a lot of different responses. And that's where our committees come in. So our committees are the different issues that the students respond that they want to address. So we have a committee on social media. We have a committee on food insecurity, inclusion, mental health, and a few more. Sorry, I'm slipping my mind. Substance use. Yeah. We have like about 6 or 7 each year, which is really cool. We have our committee on social media, I think probably back in now 2017 or 2018. So let's create a resource that kind of compiles a bunch of information about different social media apps that young people are using, ways to make them safer, risks that are present, popular games, what are the concerns about the games, and just kind of compile it into one resource. And that's what you guys have here today in your hands. If you don't, I have them up here. You're welcome to grab them. So as you can imagine, social media is constantly changing. We really try to keep this as up to date as possible. This one is slightly out of date, but on the first page is a QR code that will always have the most up-to-date version. So if you keep this, you'll always have the most up-to-date version in that QR code. So social media is a really big topic that we talk about. At the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade level, the elementary school level, we take our youth advisory board members and we train them how to present to the little ones about being safe online. And it's, concepts like telling a trusted adult if something makes you feel sad, scared, or confused, only connecting with people online that you know and trust in real life. And we give our youth advisory board members the opportunity to go back to their schools and present to the students. So it's really cool because those elementary school kids really look up to the high schoolers. And we did do Mountain View and Meadowbrook this year, and we did go to Birchland as well. We were at Birchland a couple months ago with our internet safety presentation. So the grades 6 through 8 and 9 through 12, of course, a little bit more mature, talking about different topics, more mature topics. Today is kind of a compilation of a bunch of things that we want parents to know about. So what to expect, I'll talk a little bit about Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok, an overview, and I'll look to the high schoolers to kind of provide us with that information, ways to make the app safer, supervision on the apps, and things of that nature. And we'll talk a little bit about gaming. We'll talk a little bit about some other things that we want parents to be aware of. I'm going to invite our high schoolers, our youth advisory board members, Isabel and Olivia, and I'll let them, why don't you guys introduce yourselves and let us know what committee you guys are on this year and what you're doing for your project.
Hi, I'm Olivia. I'm a senior here. This is my first year on the board, but I'm on the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, and right now we actually both are on the same committee, but we're working on a project that is giving voices to people who go through things like homophobia, racism, ableism in schools, to kind of give a voice to those who normally don't have one, and kind of explaining why those things are bad and kind of giving awareness to that.
Hi, my name is Isabel Agut. I'm a sophomore here, and it is also my first year part of the YAB. We're part of the same group, as you know, and we just delve into different topics like not just diversity, but racism, sexism, homophobia, ableism, and we let people speak out about those issues so we can spread awareness and prevent any problems within those topics.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. So I think we'll go ahead and hop into our first app. I think is it Olivia who's talking about Instagram today? You want to go over a little bit about Instagram?
Sure. As many know, Instagram is a photo and video sharing app, direct messaging.
Can you guys hear? Do you think it would be helpful?
Making an account private is a simple step in ensuring a safer experience. When an Instagram account is private, other users have to request to follow you. Only when someone accepts the follow request can they see your posts and send you a direct message or DM. With a private account, there is no risk of strangers trying to contact someone through a DM. If an account is public, anyone with an Instagram account can message you or see your posts. Other notable safety features include the hidden words feature, where comments and message requests that are considered inappropriate or offensive can be filtered out. You can also create your own custom word list, the ability to remove a follower, block an account, and turn off commenting. Users can also mute an account. With this, they will stop seeing posts from selected people, or they can restrict an account, which prevents selected people from messaging or commenting on posts. Many of these features can be helpful in a cyberbullying situation. Instagram also allows you to choose how much time you want to spend on the app every day and create an alert when you've reached your time limit. There is an Instagram Parents Guide, which will go in depth about managing privacy, managing interactions, managing what you see, managing time, and more.
Instagram also has a family center, and there's this feature called supervision where essentially a request for supervision is made to a child's account, and once that's established, you have the ability to schedule breaks or schedule time limits and kind of see if they report anything and see who's following them and who they're following. So you have the ability to to see a lot in the Family Center as far as supervision. And there's going to be a few things that we reference during this presentation, different materials. Everything is linked in the playbook, like the Family Center on Instagram's page. The Family Center is linked there through a QR code. And I will invite Isabel to talk to us about TikTok.
TikTok is a very popular social media platform that allows users to upload videos, view videos, and share short videos. A core part of TikTok experience is a For You feed, which is powered by a recommendation system. This system brings together all the interactions someone has with TikTok, such as whether they like a video, leave a comment, or watch a video to the end, and uses those to curate a personalized For You feed. One of the largest concerns can be that this app is addictive, which can consume hours. TikTok has a digital well-being tool that allows users to set daily screen time limits. Family pairing is an option which links a parent's TikTok account to their teen's account. The app also has a restriction mode, which limits exposure to content that may not be suitable for everyone. This is also a feature that a parent or a caregiver can turn on when family pairing is enabled. Another larger concern regarding TikTok are challenges that might go viral. Some are harmless fun, but others can be dangerous and illegal. Like Instagram, TikTok also has a guardian's guide with more safety information.
You're actually going to find that when you have the application downloaded on your phone, you have a lot more options as far as monitoring and supervising a child's account. As for Instagram, it's the Instagram Family Center, the supervision feature, and with TikTok, it's the family pairing. And we're going to see that with Snapchat as well. When you have the app, you have a lot more options. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Snapchat. We spend a little bit extra time on Snapchat because there are a handful of concerns that we have with the app. As many know, Snapchat is a messaging app that lets users exchange pictures, videos that are called snaps, and they're meant to disappear after they're viewed. It's very, very popular. We find and we hear that young people often have this false sense of security on the app, thinking that they can say whatever they want because the messages, pictures, videos, and so on and so forth disappear after a specified amount of time. Another thing that we're seeing too for Snapchat, the guidelines, you have to be at least 13 years old or older to download the app, but Snapchat is actually one of the most popular apps among elementary school children, so that was an interesting fact I learned. There's obviously a disconnect there. The biggest concern about Snapchat is the selling and purchasing of drugs on the app. Snapchat has claimed that there has been an issue with this, and they have put in extra safeguards, and they're working with law enforcement. But unfortunately, things are still slipping through the cracks because there are still reports of illegal drug activity on the app, of dealers using Snapchat as an app to buy and sell drugs. So obviously you hear this, it is very concerning. Our Youth Advisory Board, they have seen it firsthand. So I'm gonna invite Olivia. She's just gonna tell us kind of how it's being presented to young people on Snapchat.
Unfortunately, drugs are accessible on social media, particularly on Snapchat, because my peers on the YAB and I have witnessed it. Someone who sells drugs on social media will make a post or a private story showcasing their available products or include a menu, which is essentially a list of what they are selling. This can be anything from marijuana to vaporizers or pen-type products, which are often referred to as carts. Someone who sells drugs is often referred to as the plug. And on the next slide, you will see the DEA emoji drug code, where the plug emoji refers to someone who sells drugs. Sellers and the teens who are buying can meet up to purchase or have the seller drop it off to them. If not cash, then applications like Venmo and Cash App are popular for these transactions. It seems that Snapchat is the most likely app to find this content because messages and posts are said to disappear after a specified amount of time, which gives people a false sense of security.
So this is the resource Olivia just mentioned from the DEA. They have a lot of literature on this topic, but it can make referencing drugs look very, very harmless, which is why we're just shedding a little bit of light on it today, and this is linked in the playbook as well. A really, really important conversation when we talk to middle and high school students about this as well, about how if a pill is not prescribed to you by your doctor and retrieved from a pharmacy, then it's not safe. It could be what's considered a counterfeit pill, which means it could be laced with fentanyl. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid that's being pressed into pills to drive addiction, and it's extremely, extremely deadly. A small dose is deadly, and it's accessible on Snapchat. So this is something that we're trying to spread the word about amongst middle and high school age children, to not take any pills that are not prescribed to you by your doctor. So Snapchat, like I said, they are putting in safeguards. They're putting warnings in the app about how deadly fentanyl is. And they also created something called the Snapchat Family Center. So like I said, they did recognize that the app was being used for these purposes. And they created what's called the Snapchat Family Center, which is what can be utilized if you also have the Snapchat app. So you can see which Snapchat friends your teens have sent messages or photos to in the last 7 days. You can see a complete list of their friends. You can view their new friends that they may have added, making it easy to start conversations, and confidently report any accounts that you may be suspicious about directly to Snapchat's teams to investigate. So that is another one of those examples. When you have the app downloaded as well, you have more options as far as monitoring and supervising an account. So one last thing, one additional recommendation to make Snapchat safer is making sure we're paying attention to the location sharing feature. So Snapchat's location sharing feature is called Snap Map, and it is very real time. It uses mobile phone technology to find out where its users are, and it puts them on a map in real time. And the thing about Snap Map is that it will update your location when you simply open the Snapchat app, so you don't actively have to be messaging anyone, you don't have to post your location. It just updates when you open the app. To disable it, you would go to settings and turn on ghost mode, and that disables it. Now, one thing about this feature is that if you also have Snapchat and your child has Snapchat, you can adjust it in settings, so only you are able to see your child's location, but no one else can see it. So that could be a benefit to the Snap Map. But I just like to talk about it because it's very, very real time, and especially if someone isn't monitoring who they're adding as friends and they're kind of just accepting everyone and they're not paying attention to their settings, then it kind of raises the question, who's has access to my location. So that's something we like to talk about. Okay, this is actually the last feature that we want to touch upon for Snapchat. This is a feature called My Eyes Only, and it's a private, password-protected photo album. So to access it, you're on your camera screen and you swipe up and you go over to the right, and it's really just a photo album that's password-protected. It's just a really, really sneaky feature on Snapchat that we like parents to be aware of. So I'm not saying, if a child is using My Eyes Only, they have, inappropriate photos, but we're saying that they believe they need a password to protect their photos. So that's just one of those features on Snapchat that we like to talk to parents about. And I mentioned this earlier, and this is kind of going to go into our next conversation. Young people feel like they really have this sense of security to send what they want on Snapchat because it disappears. One issue that we spend a lot of time talking about at the middle school and high school age level is sending inappropriate photos. And the office sees this all the time. Young people taking inappropriate nude photos of themselves and exchanging the photos. And this can happen a lot of different ways. We hear it, it could be a dating relationship. You trust me, you love me, send me a photo. Someone makes the wrong decision, sends the photo. Or it could be an unsolicited photo, right? So some knucklehead sees that their friend or someone has their AirDrop on and they AirDrop them an inappropriate photo. Whatever that looks like, it's a really, really big issue, and it can happen a few different ways. So we talk about this, these photos, these videos. the young people are under the age of 18, it's against the law. And so when an adult is made aware of this, they must report it to their school resource officer, and it ends up coming through the DA's office. And that's where we see all these instances, so many instances of young people having their photos out there. And most of the time they didn't realize that sending these photos was against the law. And the number one question that a parent will usually ask is, how do we get that picture back? How do we get that photo off the internet? And unfortunately, the answer is we cannot, we can't get the photo off the internet. Once it's out there, it's out there. So it's really, really unfortunate, and it's an uncomfortable conversation to have at any level, but we have to have that conversation with middle schoolers and high schoolers, really just on the prevention end, because we've seen the tragedy, we've seen, that heartbreak of a photo going around school, or a photo, we know how fast things spread like wildfire, but it could have just been prevented, right, by not sending that photo. So we really do, we have those uncomfortable conversations with our middle school students. I have a video I'm not going to play right now because it's about 15 minutes, and I want to have time at the end to have an open discussion and have time for questions. And but I'll give you just a quick overview of it. And I mentioned how one of the scenarios is with the inappropriate photos is unsolicited. So a couple years ago, our social media committee on the Youth Advisory Board, they were curious, like, we see it all the time, so let's see how many people in Hampden County see it. So they made a survey, and they sent out a survey, tell us your stories about receiving unsolicited photos. And it was really mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing how many instances of, like the mutual friend on Snapchat, or like, I know him through this friend, and he just randomly sent me this inappropriate photo and expected me to send one back. Just a whole range of stories. So they got those survey responses, and the committee members made a video and read the responses, and then we had the chief of our special victims unit, Eileen Sears, comes on the back end and kind of talks about the legal side of it and addresses a lot of the scenarios. That video is linked in the Youth Advisory Board playbook. On the first page, the QR, if you open it, there's a link there. I think it's called, Eileen's name is in it, but that's linked in there. So I just wanted to reference that because I'm not going to play it right now. But it is definitely a worthwhile watch to learn a little bit about that issue particularly. All right, so we talked a lot about social media apps. We're going to touch upon gaming for a little bit. So the National Center on Sexual Exploitation, each year they put out something called the Dirty Dozen list. And what that is 12, they call out 12 mainstream entities, applications that enable, facilitate, or even profit from sexual abuse or exploitation. And they call it the Dirty Dozen list. And unfortunately, a lot of our kids' favorite apps have made the Dirty Dozen lists. So Roblox is one of them. Roblox, this is coming straight from the Center on Sexual Exploitation. So they say that among the avatars, the blocks, and the buildings, kids are exposed to predators and inappropriate content. And since Roblox's inception, countless children have been sexually abused and exploited by predators they met on Roblox. So the great thing about this list is that they call them out and they make recommendations on how we can fix this issue. So as of December of last year, December of 2024, after 2 years on the Dirty Dozen list, they have made some changes. So users under the age of 13 are no longer able to direct message others outside of games or experiences, and parents can set up their own accounts to connect them to their child's Roblox account to manage safety settings, monitor screen time and friends and people who they're messaging, which is fantastic. The only thing about this is it's accessible for children 13 and under, which is great, but 13 years old and older accounts don't really have any meaningful parental controls, unfortunately, but they did address that younger audience, which is good. Discord is one that has been called out 4 years in a row. 4 years in a row. They failed to default their safety features to the highest settings for teens. And they recently, they made some parental controls. They responded and they made some parental controls. They called it Teen Safety Assist, which is supposed to blur sexually explicit content if sent to an account. But researchers at the center have proven it ineffective, and they have tried to send their research to Discord and let them know your Teen Safety Assist isn't effective because we have proven it to be ineffective, and they haven't received any response, which is why they've been on the list for the past 4 years. So Discord is definitely a concern for us. I think Tony was asking earlier about GTA because we hear, unfortunately, a lot of like second and third and elementary school level children playing GTA. I know that, thank goodness we don't have any children in the crowd that are playing GTA right now, but did you want to address some of the concerns?
Kids that play GTA or Fortnite, that's good. I know we went to a lot of the schools and even the elementary schools. Some kids, even fifth grades, fourth grade said they play. We asked, have you guys played GTA? Yes, we play Fortnite. Which one? They're too young. And those are fun games, I guess, when you're old enough. But then I asked them, well, do you know what the dangers are? And some of them know do you guys know what the dangers are of GTA, Grand Theft Auto? I'll read some of them to you, and it's kind of horrific. Again, the gaming industry is $1 billion industry, probably more, and they attract these kids, and it's unfortunate. But just let me, and third graders saying they play GTA. This is what they're exposed to. Just let me read off a few things. They're exposed to various forms of violence. Now, and just think of this, under the backdrop of today's society, we find out our young people have a lot of social issues, and some of them aren't doing as good as they could in school. So let's look at this. So GTA, Grand Theft Auto, kids are exposed to gun violence. Players can use firearms to shoot characters, including police officers, civilians, and rival gang members. Now, these are third and fourth graders that are playing these games. Physical assault. The game allows players to punch, kick, and attack people on the street without provocation, and we know about that. Vehicular violence. Players can run over pedestrians, cause car crashes, or engage in high-speed police chases that often end in violent confrontations. Crime and murder. Missions often involve assassinations, robberies, and other criminal activities where players must harm or eliminate targets. Explosion and destruction. Players can use explosives, grenades, and Molotov cocktails to destroy buildings, cars, and people. Torture scenes. Some GTA games include missions where players participate in graphic torture such as electrocution and waterboarding. And a lot of these kids don't even know what that is. And trust me, a lot of kids are playing it, whether they admit to you or not, they are. Because when we ask them, they shoot up their hands. Fortnite. Now that's a little bit, people think that's a little nicer because it's cartoony. Let's talk about that. Violence and aggression. Although Fortnite has cartoon-style graphics, it still involves shooting and eliminating opponents, which may desensitize children to violence. And they're playing it night after night after night. Addiction and excessive screen time. The game is highly engaging, often leading to long hours of play, which can interfere with schoolwork, sleep, and physical activities. When we go into schools, and we're all throughout Hampden County, some of the young kids that we see that can't even sit through a presentation that are half asleep, I wonder. And I asked them, you guys must have been up all night playing games. A lot of them are up all night in the wee hours in the morning playing games unsupervised. And a lot of them are Fortnite or Roblox. Not Roblox, but Grand Theft Auto. And I know, and if you have, sometimes your kids, because Fortnite you have to purchase different things, purchase skins, purchase battles and stuff like that. And a lot of kids literally have arguments with their parents. And parents have to say, okay, we're not going to buy this for you, and then that becomes a problem. So they start draining your bank account. Whether they have access to your credit cards or not, they use that to purchase some of these games, or the skins for the games. Online dangers and cyberbullying. The game includes online multiplayer, which we know that, interactions, where kids may encounter toxic behavior, bullying, or inappropriate language from other players. And we know some of the language that these kids are using nowadays. Stranger interaction, we know this as well. And the safety risk. Voice and text chat, which we're allowed to do, allow children to interact with strangers, which could expose them to inappropriate conversations, and we know all of this stuff happens. And then what they do when you're involved in these conversations, they say, okay, let's go over to Discord. And that's where you have those real serious conversations. Send me a pic. What are you doing? I'm in the 6th grade. You're in the 6th grade. Let's have a conversation. This is where kids often get fooled by who they're talking to. And we're fortunate to have the Special Victims Unit right on our floor. As tragic and the stories the stories that we hear are horrific. And when they talk about, okay, they arrested a predator, they look through their phones, they look through their social media, they're looking at ways in which these predators were able to contact or have contact with these kids. And they are very familiar with Grand Theft Auto, they're very familiar with Fortnite, but they're also familiar with Minecraft and Roblox. Now, when it comes to Minecraft and Roblox, it's important that we tell the young kids, if something makes you feel sad, scared, or confused, please tell a trusted adult. Always go to your parent, always go to a guardian, always go to your teacher, because they can navigate these conversations that you will have if you get trapped in these situations. A lot of times you read in the news, and just a while back, a guy flew from Florida to meet some 13-year-old in a hotel in Chicopee. And had it not been for the police department getting involved, that could have ended up a lot more drastic than it did. Now, I know that case is still in the court system. I don't know where it's at, but these are things that people are doing when they're meeting these kids and traveling miles and miles to meet them. Eileen was telling me another thing and sometimes the young children, they're so, I don't know if they're just fooled or maybe they think it's okay, but it was a situation where she was telling me where this young girl actually told this predator where they were going on for vacation. Where they went for summer camp, some sort of vacation, and the guy actually got on the plane and went to where their vacation site was, and the young lady ended up meeting with that guy, telling her parents that she had to go somewhere, or she had to go for a walk or something like that. So that's how serious it is. And whether parents have that great of a relationship with their kids where they're going to let them know, hey, I just talked to this strange individual, that remains to be seen. And those conversations need to be had. And I know there are a lot more of your kids are playing these games than they will admit, because it is full of all this nonsense. And then what happens in a town nearby when we hear about these conversations, the racial conversations, the bullying conversations, it's happening on all these platforms. And a lot of the kids are just way too young to even handle those conversations. So I caution you as parents, when your kids talk about the games, especially if they're a young kid, if they're 3rd, 4th, they shouldn't even be playing these games in high school. But if they're younger and they're saying Grand Theft Auto or Fortnite, you should have a conversation with them. And at the very least, if you're not stopping them from playing, because these do have, age guidelines, but they're able to get past those things. If they're stopping them, if they're playing these, you really need to stop them from playing. And the kids will even know, yeah, I know you have to be 16 years old to play, but I play anyways. So some of these things, especially the games, and I can't say whether it is a direct correlation with how our young men and women are acting today, with the self-abusive behavior that we see, the low self-esteem, the antisocial behavior that we see, they're not even understanding the real consequences of their behavior. I wonder if it's correlated to what the dangers of these games are. And when you play a game day in and day out, because they're very, very addicting, they really are, what are you picking up from them? And that's the question I have. And when we do these presentations, especially with parents, I caution you to just be aware of what your kids are playing in terms of games. And I'm glad to hear that none of you guys are playing Grand Theft Auto or Fortnite, because those are definitely grounds for problems. And that's all I have on that. It's crazy. The first thing especially when we do the Net Smarts presentations, where we're talking to 2nd and 3rd graders, we ask them what they like to do on social media. And a 3rd grader says, I play Grand Theft Auto. Oh, you do? 3rd grade, okay. And they're exposed to everything that I just read. And that's a problem. And unfortunately, the schools have to deal with that. And I kind of feel sorry for the teachers, because they have to deal with the fallout of all the conversations that they have, either while they're playing a game or on Discord. Usually it's on Discord, when they get into these private chats. And then there's a fight in school because someone said something late at night at 2, 3 in the morning when they probably should have been sleeping, and it makes its way into the school, and it makes its way into the classroom, and it's very disruptive. And that's literally why we get called to a lot of schools to say, hey, can you talk to our students about the dangers of these games and social media as a whole?
Yep, so a lot of information, definitely not meant to scare anyone.
Yeah,
We
not
really just
awareness.
want to let you guys know what we see and what's going on, and hopefully give you guys the resources to learn more about those issues. Some of the really scary things we've learned about today, the access to drugs online.
Yeah.
In the playbook, the DEA, like I said, has a lot of literature. One of them, what every parent needs to know about counterfeit pills. So I encourage you to take a look at that. And then we also link in some popular parental controls, some helpful websites, and all of like the family guides, the links to the family guides and family pairing for all these social media apps, just to make it easier and put it all in one place. So I covered all the topics that I wanted to cover. I don't know if anyone has any questions. If you guys have anything additional you want to add, the expertise of our young people.
I guess just one thing is that it's very important to, I know it can be hard with kids kind of going against their parents because their friend does something or they want to fit in, but I feel like coming from experience of seeing my younger brother, he didn't have any social media until he was in high school, and he turned out perfectly fine, normal, and it's honestly better at the end of the day to stay away from some of these things, because like I hear from other kids at school, like, oh, when I was younger, you know, I talked to strangers all the time, like it was normal.
Oh, sometimes they say that to us too. It's like, yeah, I'm sorry, but they do. They tell us that. Like, are you kidding me? What are you doing? Does your parents know?
It's just very scary stuff that I feel like has gotten worse over time, and it's just protecting your kids is like the most important thing, and that comes first. Even if they don't like it in the moment, it benefits them in the future.
Do you have any advice about starting that conversation without sounding overbearing and annoying?
Sometimes the conversation doesn't really have to come from you. You can always ask someone else to talk to you. I have a couple of aunts, they're in their 20s, a little bit older than me. Whenever my mom wants to talk to me about something, she tells them, you can ask a relative to talk to them or share personal experiences to help convey the topic
Better. One thing I'd also recommend is letting them build good habits before starting bad ones. So before they access social media, tell them what's good, what's bad, who would you want to see this? Because if there are certain people that, like let's say you wouldn't want a relative to see this, why even post it?
And talking about how everything that we put on, I mean, I know everyone knows this, but sometimes they just don't understand that everything that you put out there is out there forever, even if you delete it. You know, it's always out there. It's your digital footprint. It's what employers are going to search up. It's what colleges are going to search up, and we definitely harp on that a lot at the middle school and high school level. Because I mean, especially nowadays, it's that like one post or that one photo that you share that makes you lose out on like that scholarship opportunity or that job opportunity, and that high schooler doesn't even know that they didn't get that job or that they lost out on that scholarship because of what they shared online. You know, they just don't get the job or they don't get that scholarship. So just putting that in their brains now and making sure that, you know, if you're sharing something out there, make it a checklist. Do I want my grandma to see this? Would I be okay with my mom seeing this? Is it appropriate? Is it legal? Is it, you know, so that's something that we also talk about.
So you guys have, what is it like in your conversation with your parents around social media? What is that like?
I haven't really talked to my parents about it, but they have told like relatives to talk to me about it. And it's nothing wrong. They just say, don't post this because you wouldn't want certain people to see it. Make sure you're not following random people. Make sure someone reaches out to you. If you don't know them, don't reach out. You can always turn off your comments if you see something you don't like. You can press not interested on certain apps if you see a video you don't like. If you feel you want to
be more seen, you can make a private account and just have like friends only there, so you're still posting and people can see it, but it's only people you know. And that's mainly what I learned from other people. What I learned from my own experience is that when you have social media, it's something you manage yourself and you're responsible for it. So when you do post something, it's no one else's fault but yours, and you have to take responsibility for that.
So when it comes to, I know we've heard a lot of parents that want to limit their child's social media use or their gaming use. And I heard this one tip from, I think it was years ago by now, but it was a tip about limiting Fortnite play, because Fortnite, I guess, is very addictive, very similar to TikTok. But if you want to limit your child's Fortnite play, you limit a number of battles as opposed to a time limit. Because you give them a time limit of, an hour and a half, and an hour and a half is up, and you cut them off, and they're in the middle of a battle, it's just a fight that's going to start. So if you give them an amount of battles, then they feel like, they've completed, right, and they're not being cut off in the middle. So just to, I guess, save a headache of a fight of being cut off in the middle is a good piece of advice I received.
I think that works too, but if they haven't even seen Fortnite, find alternatives. There's so many games. Like if your child does a sport, my brother plays soccer, all he does is play FIFA. That's a soccer game. My sister likes animals, she plays Animal Crossing. I don't know what that is, but I think it's just tea parties with animals.
I played that that's been around for a long time.
So how do you guys get past that fear of missing out when all your friends and all your peers are talking about what they do on social media or talking about the games that they play? How does that make you feel? How does, in that sense?
I feel like for me, I don't play video games or anything. When I would play when I was younger, I played Mario Kart and things like that. But now, I feel like since I know that it really doesn't have a benefit for me, I don't really feel like, oh, I'm missing out on this. There's also other activities that I enjoy more, especially playing sports that I kind of replace instead of playing video games. So it's not really, and also when you get older, it becomes less and less a part of your life, and it's not the biggest thing, kind of having the best skin or something. It doesn't really matter. So I feel like that kind of helps too. Me personally, I don't really feel like I ever miss out because so many things come and go, like Among Us. That was a really popular game. People don't even think about it now. I'm not really missing out, I'm just trying something new. And I think that's a good mindset for people to have. And when you're trying something new, you can share this app, or maybe you should play this game instead, or do it this way instead, just to expand your horizon.
We've been asked, a group of, whether it's elementary or middle school students, does anyone not have social media? And, if you have a handful of kids that raise their hands and kind of just lift them up and let them know that it's okay and there's no rush to get social media, there's no need for social media. How do you feel about it? Do you feel like you're missing out on certain things? And most of the times they're like, no, I don't get the drama. I don't hear about the drama when I go home. So being able to lift them up, I think is a cool thing.
Any questions?
I just had a comment and a question. Just a quick sharing of a photo story when my daughter was in 6th grade and had a sleepover. And we had all of these discussions. 4 or 5 girls were all giggling, and I went upstairs for snacks or something. And someone had a Meagle.
Yeah, Meagle, yeah.
And so they were laughing, and I said, "What's so funny?" And they said, "Oh, there's some random guy that's asking us to take pictures of our feet, and he gave us each $5 each if we send pictures of our feet." And so...
And that's where it starts.
That's where it starts, and fortunately they had not done it, but they were all just incredibly naive, and I would be surprised if I hadn't got up there that they would have done that.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of comment one. Secondly, I'm over 50, and so some of all the controls and things are beyond my capacity, despite friends and checking things out online. But one question I have is, I have, no explicit content and all that, yet explicit content comes in. And how do you stop kids from having multiple accounts? So TikTok, right, and Snapchat. So even though I have those apps on my phone and monitor both my kids' accounts. Both my kids have had multiple accounts that I found out about later. Do you know if there's a way to find out if they create a new account? And how do you do that? Or prevent, or they have, just like they have to ask to download an app, I have that. Is there a way where they have to ask permission before they create a new account?
That is tough, that is sneaky.
Of course it is, and they all do it.
I think there's a way,
Because there is
especially
an option-
if you haven't.
Sorry, go
Okay, no, you go ahead, Gina.
I was going to say, that what you said, there is an option where for each app that they download, they have to get permission.
I do that.
But if they already have Instagram, then, yeah, that's a tough question. I know very young people have.
The
And
best
all
way
their
to-
friends have multiple accounts for all the same reasons.
Yeah.
Their parent is only connected to one.
As soon as you give them the phone, you link your phone up to theirs, and everything they do from the moment they get that phone, you'll get that information. I know there's an app. There's something in the playbook, I believe, that speaks to that.
Yeah, there's one app that we promote in the playbook that's like a third party.
There's Bark.
It's Bark, and I know it's a good app. I don't know all of the intricacies of it.
I have Bark phone that works really well. It has notifications for this, do this stuff. But it catches everything. If they suspect bullying,
Yeah.
if they suspect any kind of violence, if they suspect any kind of peer pressure or sexual violence or anything like that, you get notification for everything. I would get 40 notifications a day, even if it's just him and his buddies
Yeah.
being stupid. But for one of every like 100 of them, there's something that concerns me. I'm like, hey, this friend is an idiot, might get you in trouble.
Yeah, and you're getting that even if it's set in like an Instagram app or a Snapchat app.
Anything that goes through that.
So that can be your solution. Yeah, you might not get a notification that they created another account, but if they're talking inappropriately or saying these, you know, these red flag conversations, these red flag words, then you would get a notification about that and alert it.
Bark phone. You're like, why can't I have a normal phone? Because I pay the bill, and you're not.
Yeah.
That is why.
Good point. So I hope that was helpful. Is there any other questions?
And take the phones. I know some people don't like to do that, but when they go to bed, you got to take the phone. Because they will be up under the covers, having those conversations with people that you don't know who they're conversing
That
with.
phone tells you when they log off at night, and when they turn it back on in the morning, when they get home, you can track them, like, minute by minute, where they are throughout the day. Like, I know when he goes to school, when he gets home from school, if he forgot his phone at home, when it dies, when he charges it back up, every single day, and here's it with everywhere, like a leash. So, it's worth it. It's not, I don't care.
And Omigo was not a good app, and it was on Dirty Dozen list for a while because it was a video chatting app that just randomly pairs you with people from across the world, and there's no monitoring for these video chats, so God knows what would show up on the other end. And so there was a lot of, you know, children going on because it's fun, you know, you get paired with strangers, you meet new people, and that's, you know, how it was promoted. It actually, Omigo got banned because, for that reason. But it's just, it's video chatting apps, so there's a new one. It's just, you know, it's just called something else, right? It's the same concept, but it's called something else. But really what's that?
Omi TV, that's the name for it.
Omi TV. So really anything that promotes video chat and meeting new people, Tinder, meet new people, make new friends, is just not good.
There's also, if you don't get Bark, because I have Bark too, where Google has family link, and it puts restrictions on time usage. So on my son's phone, it cuts off at certain times he can't use it. And I can control it through Google.
Yeah, that's great. That's great because those apps are addicting. I know TikTok is addicting.
And I think we should have that information on our
Yeah.
playbook.
We have Google Family Link in there as well. Google Family Link and Bark is two that we've heard are really good as far as monitoring. Yeah. Any other questions? Does anyone not have a playbook? Make sure you guys get one. Thank you guys very much for coming out. We'll be here if you want to have a conversation, but I hope that you found this information useful. and thank you for coming.
Great, we gotta do the raffle.